Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, we celebrate the achievements of our teacher education students at the 32nd Teacher Education Convocation at the University of Iowa College of Education. My name is Greg Hammett, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies this afternoon. Now, I'd like to introduce College of Education Dean Daniel Clay, who will open the festivities by welcoming you to this afternoon's celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Daniel Clay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's convocation ceremony. What a great day. And how about the Grant Wood Anthem Choir, huh? And how fitting it is that they were here for us today, because that's a perfect reminder of why we're here. So it was really neat to see, and I really enjoyed their music, and I'm grateful for them for coming today, and I'll bet they were glad to get out of school. So students, congratulations on a job well done. But your work, as you well know, is just beginning. It is a tremendous honor and a huge privilege to be an educator. So too, though, is it a huge responsibility. So how many of you, at some point while you were in school, thought that you weren't going to make it? It's okay, you are going to make it today. How many of you, show me your hands, how many of you at some point weren't sure you were going to make it and maybe even thought about quitting? Now, remember, when you're teaching, there will be kids in your class who feel that very same way. And they will need you. They will need you. That is the responsibility that goes along with the honor and with the privilege. Now, I have faith in you and the skills and abilities that you've learned. I have confidence in your commitment to this profession and to the people that you'll serve. And I'll tell you, as your dean, I'm very, very proud of you. I know your parents are proud of you. I know your friends are proud of you. I know your teachers, your professors are also proud of you. So congratulations. Now I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Deb Rettman spent 35 years in public education. As a teacher, assistant principal, and as a principal. She spent 18 years as the principal of Southeast Junior High. I have a 7th grader at Southeast Junior High right now, and I can tell you there's a special place in heaven for somebody that can be the principal of a junior high for 18 years. But she's an extraordinary leader. She's a wonderful role model. She was a finalist for Teacher of the Year in the state of Iowa. She had a positive impact on literally thousands of kids and of teachers and of professionals. So I'm really honored, and I would appreciate if you would join me in welcoming Deb Rettman.
Thank you, Dean Clay. President Harold, Dean Clay, faculty members, families, friends, and most importantly, teacher candidates from the University of Iowa College of Education Fall Class of 2016. Congratulations on being here and being part of this very special celebration. When your colleagues, Kelsey and Emily, asked if I would consider being your convocation keynote speaker, they offered me several thoughts. They shared that I would have 10 whole minutes. It will be shorter. They welcomed me, offering wisdom and inspiration, and that I would be among the final speakers before you moved from being teacher candidates to graduates of the University of Iowa College of Education. So thank you, Kelsey and Emily, wherever you are, for inviting me to be a part of today's celebration. I hope I will fulfill your guidance in my brief time with you and your colleagues. So let's take on wisdom first. Where do we find that for ourselves? In your years here at Iowa, you have met faculty members who have done their very best to share their life journeys with you in hopes that you'll take a piece of their stories and make it your own. You have worked with many teachers in many different schools and observed those teachers to see what best practice for student learning looks like in the real world. And you have met administrators, secretaries, guidance counselors, custodians, all key members of the school communities that you have thus far been a part of. You have met hundreds of different students while you have had various roles as a one-to-one tutor, a practicum student, an observer, and most recently, a successful student teacher. Each one of the students you have met has given you the best that they could offer. And from each of them, you learned something more than what you knew before you walked into their classroom. So, wisdom, it comes from your listening, your watching, your failing, your succeeding, as you practice your craft and find what works for you in making a difference in the lives of your students. Teacher candidates in my classes have shared with me that a piece of wisdom they valued has to do with how to build relationships with students. If you and I had class together, you're predicting what I'm about to say. One of my very favorite strategies, the concept of 2 by 10. I see some of you saying 2 by 10. It's a strategy for building relationships with all students, but especially with those with whom you're not feeling the connection. With thanks to research by educational psychologist Dr. Raymond J. Wadlikowski, the simple concept is to spend 10 minutes for 2 minutes for 10 days straight, visiting with the chosen student about something of their interest. This isn't about you. It's about the student, and you're caring enough to get to know them personally. At the school where I had the privilege of being an administrator for 24 years, I think that's older than most of you are, we implemented this concept as a faculty at the suggestion of one of our teachers. He was working on his master's in experiential learning, and he served students who were at risk of not even being able to be promoted from junior high to high school. He had found success with 2 by 10 with some of our most challenging students, and he offered the strategy as a way for the whole faculty to connect more deeply with our student body. So my direction to the faculty was to choose one student with whom a connection was difficult and to come back together in 2 weeks to share the result. Our student body didn't know what hit them. When we came back together, I asked teachers to share their stories, and what we heard from each other was amazing. We learned so much from those shy students who didn't volunteer in class, from the more boisterous students who demanded our attention, and from the students who made us question our choice of profession. We learned that behaviors changed positively for both the students and the teachers. And we learned that 8 of us had all chosen one very special young man who was at the top of all of our lists. And we saw remarkable positive behavior changes in his relationships and his cooperation with staff. When I checked in with him upon one of his occasions to still join me in my office, he said, "Mrs. Rettman, I can't be like I used to be. Now I know my teachers like me. all of them. Wisdom. Inspiration. Wow. Now that's a big concept. So I went to Merriam-Webster, our favorite dictionary person, and she defined it as filling someone with the urge or ability to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. You have found inspiration from so many experiences you have had through your years here at the University of Iowa, both in a formal sense and in many informal settings. Again, as my students have shared with me, a takeaway from our time together has been an idea that says, you ready? Who you are is where you were when. So let me say that again. Who you are is where you were when. Teacher candidates, as you look around nearby, you see students with whom you have worked on projects, stayed up way too late doing homework, drank way too much coffee and Red Bull, talked about the faculty, and talked about the students that you met, their stories, their challenges, the phenomenal classroom teachers who you want to grow up to be just like. Who you are now has been greatly influenced by being with your fellow teacher candidates. When? You have inspired each other. Looking further around you, you can see your family, your friends. They're gathered here with you today. Each of them has been a part of who you are for far longer than you have been here at the University of Iowa. Each of them has been a part of the journey that makes you who you are today. Their love for you, their frustrations with you, their encouragement, their sacrifices. Each of their stories wrap around all of you in this gathering today to lay the foundation from which you will step forward. They have inspired you. You have inspired them. Who you are is where you were when. So, as we share these final moments of you being a teacher candidate, know that the faculties of the College of Education and the University of Iowa have offered the wisdom that they can impart. Know that who you are is where you were when, is a story that is written forward with every person you meet and every place you go. Because you chose to be here at this moment in time, each of you is part of each other's stories. Each of you is part of inspiring those around you. And I am grateful that you have been part of my story today. And with that, I look forward to shaking your hands as teacher colleagues, as the moment that you have worked so very hard to achieve is soon upon you. Wishing you wisdom and inspiration in everything that you do on behalf of the children in your care. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Deb, for those very inspirational and useful thoughts. The person who will introduce our faculty speaker this afternoon is one of his former students. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Amira Nash.
Thank you, Dr. Hammett. Dr. Kelly has earned 3 degrees from the University of Iowa. He's currently professor of educational psychology. In 2003, he was selected by the Council of Teaching as the University of Iowa Carnegie Foundation Professor of the Year. He's received the UI Faculty of the Year Award. He's received the Collegiate Teaching Award. In 2009, he was selected to give the university last lecture to the graduating class. In 2012, he received the Aldrich Qualls Commitment to Diversity Award. And in 2013, he was again selected to give the UI last lecture and receive the Collegiate Teaching Award. According to the University Provost's office, Dr. Kelly is listed each year in the top 20 by graduating seniors when asked to name one faculty or staff member who had a positive influence on them during their time at the University of Iowa. I first met Dr. Kelly when I took his class, his educational psychology class, my freshman year, and I had a wonderful experience. And then the following year, he taught a class in India, and I was interested, and I decided to study abroad there with him and had one of the most amazing times I've ever had and one of the best experiences that I'll always carry with me into my own classrooms. Dr. Kelly has been an amazing mentor in my life. Being a first-generation college student can be difficult without support, and he's gone beyond the classroom to be that mentor for me. And Dr. Kelly is taking another class again this winter to India, and I'm going again. And I've had a lot of people ask me how he convinced me to go a second time, and my answer is very simple. He asked me. So it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Mitchell Kelly.
Well, now she's got me all emotional, so this won't go very well. I want to thank you, Amira. And she's exactly right. She's not too hard to sell on things. You just say, hey, do you want to do whatever? Yes. My wife taught the course with me that first year, and we just found her to be the glue that kept the whole group together. So I asked her, we were trying to get our numbers close to 10 for this trip, and I was at about 9, and I said, Amira, you want to go to India again? She looked at me, she said, sure. So that was pretty good. So well, class of 2016, you did it. You found a parking spot near the IMU. Sure, some of you in a ramp, some of you plugged a meter, others are illegally parked. Some will get tickets and others will get towed. You all look so nice and dressed up today. I'm not used to seeing many of you like that. Whitney Duthie, what are you doing here? I got that joke passed with her parents and her sister. I taught her sister also. She asked me to come observe her in her student teaching, which was smart, and then I can write a solid letter of recommendation for her when she needs it. She and her sister are also both, a fun fact, they're both two of the best waitresses in Iowa City. And considering your career choice, that might come in handy sometime. I'd like to welcome President Harold and my new dean, Dan Clay. Actually, Dan, our new dean, worked here 10 years ago, and I worked with him for 10 years. And then he left to be a dean elsewhere and came back. If someone would have told me 10 years ago that in 2017, Donald Trump was going to be my president, Dan Clay my dean, and the Cubs would be reigning World Series champions, I would have never believed that Dan Clay was going to be my dean. Where is he? I told him I'd read it to him beforehand, but he wanted it live. I'd like to encourage the graduates to take their parents downstairs to the bookstore and let them look around to see where you purchased the presents you gave them for the last 4 years. Since in many cases they ultimately paid for them on your U-bill, it only seems right. I'm the fifth of 7 children, or as we called it back then, Catholic. My mother is a single parent, and she worked as a bartender. She worked so much that we seldom had adult supervision at home. My older brother liked to make macaroni and cheese before he went to bed when he was 10 years old. He also seemed to like to fall asleep before it was finished cooking. I remember him calling my mom at work and telling her we had a small fire again. She asked on the other end of the line, how bad was it? And he replied, oh, not that bad. The 3rd fire truck is already leaving. My mother would leave at 5 o'clock to go to work, and she'd tell my older brothers to read to me and my younger sisters. Instead of reading to me, my brothers used to tell me it was time to play football, which was my cue to go put on a football helmet, 3 sweatshirts, and 3 sweatpants. And then they'd sit on the couch and make me run through the doorway and shoot me with BB guns. Needless to say, I don't hunt. I also didn't do much for my school readiness. So we were real poor, as you could guess, and we had like 1 toilet for 8 people, and it was seldom worked. We didn't have money for fuel oil, sometimes in the winter, so we'd all sleep in the same room with a blanket tacked up over the doorway to trap in the cold, from what I could tell. We had cockroaches and mice and things like that, and I was in low ability groups most of my early school years, and then in 6th grade, Miss Courtney came along, so she's my teacher. My best friend from kindergarten's here, Joe Green, and we all love Miss Courtney. So I had my appendix almost burst when I was 12. It actually did burst, and I almost died from it, peritonitis. And we didn't have insurance, so the doctor wasn't in any hurry to get us to come in. And then I was out of school. I lost about half my body weight, lost most of my hair. And I came back like months later to get homework to take home from each of my teachers. And I went to all of them, and when Miss Courtney saw me, she started crying and came over and gave me a big hug. So that was really my first day as a teacher, I think, because I felt really like she changed my life that day. Another thing happened that year. A distant relative died and left us some money. So we sold the house I was just talking about for $7,000, and we bought a $49,000 house, so that was a big jump. It was a beautiful 1970 split foyer home. The only thing I didn't like about it is every time you walked in the house, you had to make a decision. So my mom raised 7 children on a bartender's salary, mainly tips. Guess how many college degrees? 7. It used to be 7, it's actually 8 now. But 3 of them are mine. And my little sister has 3, and my other little sister has 1. So the bottom 3 kids, 7 degrees. Top 4 siblings, 1 degree. So that teaches them to shoot me with BB guns. Really what it is, I think, is if you think about opportunities and educational opportunities, money matters, and if you don't believe that, share my story with somebody who doesn't, I recommend. So basically, you're going to have students growing up just like I did, and be sure to see the potential of them beating the odds and doing good things in their lives. Miss Courtney changed my life with that one hug. You can change the lives of many of your students. You chose a noble profession where you can change the trajectory of hundreds, if not thousands, of students. My joke about teacher income was just that. You can't place a price on changing children's lives for the better. So I want to wish all of you good luck that are becoming teachers today, and I want you to treat each child as if they're your own in your career. So thank you very much for asking me to speak. It's been fun. Thanks for laughing at my jokes.
I'll introduce you first, and then you come on. Okay, well, thank you very much, Mitch. It's always a pleasure to hear Mitch speak. He's always got inspirational stories that are so important to all of us, both faculty and students. To introduce our student speaker, so you get the really tough job. You got to follow that. So, is Carrie Aldrich, a doctoral student in the College of Education. Carrie, come on up.
Thank you. It's with great enthusiasm that I introduce the class speaker, Angie Miller. Over the past 2.5 years, I've had the privilege of working with Angie in several capacities. As a student enrolled in my language and learning class, as a colleague at the College of Education Writing Resource, where she tutored College of Education graduate student writers, and as a research collaborator. Angie arrived at my language and learning class early in the evening after spending her days teaching Montessori preschool. She explained that she taught children to write letters in sand trays because it would help them to stimulate their sensory perceptions, but it also would help them to encourage revision. I was impressed with the way she was able to transfer what she knows about young children to working with graduate students like myself. We have the same hang-ups when it comes to writing, and she noticed that very early. My favorite story about Angie is that she led her high school in a walkout to protest the implementation of a new grading system. Even as a teenager, Angie understood the potential in education and the importance of fighting for it. She's naturally attracted to language and dedicated to understanding the world through art and travel. She's going to make an excellent contribution to Gladbrook Rhinebeck High School, where she's already accepted a position teaching secondary language arts. I'm so proud to introduce you to Angie Miller.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry I won't be as funny as Mitch Kelly, but maybe there's some laughs in there. Graduates of the College of Education, class of 2016, congratulations. Today marks the end of much hard work. Multitudes of lesson plans have been written, teaching philosophies have been polished, and many e-portfolio links have been uploaded. Some of them this morning. We have many accomplishments to celebrate today. We also have many people to thank. Our professors, who have invested their time and dedicated their research to preparing outstanding pre-service teachers. The College of Education staff, who have processed our work and ensured that we leave here with our degrees, licenses, certificates, and endorsements. Our TAs, who taught us and listened to us, even with their own workloads. Our families and friends, most likely the people sitting here today, who have saw us through our educational journey into this critical moment in our lives. Thank you. We absolutely could have not done this without you. Today I want to share with you the most important takeaway from my time in the College of Education. On my very first day of class, my English practicum seminar with Professor Amy Schultz, I sat nervously in a classroom in the Lundquist Center as she explained what the practicum experience would be like. I will never forget the phrase written at the top of her very carefully and probably color-coordinated, composed handout. It said, "All students can learn." I would hear Professor Schultz say this phrase many times, not only during my practicum seminar, but also during methods class and student teaching seminar. The phrase is easily said and sounds lovely. All students can learn. Of course, saying and believing and doing are all different acts. But over these last 3 years, I have come to believe in this motto with all of my heart. It has become my teaching philosophy, my mantra, my motivation to act by knowing each of my students as individuals and to differentiate my instruction based on their needs. These are skills that I have learned during my study in the college, but my investment in this phrase goes beyond that. It is a feeling, it is a conviction. It is a confidence in myself as an excellent teacher. It is a belief in my students' ability to grow that has brought me to admire this phrase, all students can learn. All students can learn because of you. You are an educator of all students, no exceptions, no exclusions. There are people who might try to tell you something like, our schools are broken, but our schools are not broken until teachers stop believing in each of their students, believing each of them can learn, can grow, can reach their potential as citizens and as humans. There are not many professions that can boast the level of impact you will have as a teacher, because you have already made a difference when you walked into your classroom and believed that each of your students was capable of learning and worth your time. And with this belief, we can go into our schools and accomplish remarkable things. Because when we believe in ourselves as teachers, our students, and in the power of education, we are investing in a hope for the future. So class of 2016, go forth, do no harm, and believe. But today, celebrate. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Angie. At this time, I'd like to call to the podium Associate Dean Nancy Languth. Associate Dean Languth will call forward our faculty to announce this semester's certification candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nancy Languth.
Members of the College of Education faculty, now we'll call to the stage the teacher education class of fall semester 2016. First, Professor Rory Carson will introduce our elementary education certification class. ask them to hold their applause until all of them are finished.
I would like to ask the audience to please hold your applause until everyone has walked across. We want to celebrate everybody at the same time. Elementary education students, please come forward. Caitlin Marie Axmere. Megan Christine Barker. Yeah. Ashley Danelle Cabrera. Cassidy May Conlon. Whitney Gail DeBay. Whitney Page Duffy. Alexandra Nicole Gargano. Emily Catherine Givens. Henry Thomas Hartzler. Lauren Ann Holly. Slow down. Christina Marie Herman. Congratulations. Margaret Mary Hugan. Marissa Mackenzie Hurst. Trevor Daniel Johnson. Amber Autumn Jewell. Luckett Ashkinyi Kishay. Lindsay Luvas Lovelace. Samantha Luann McAtee. Sarah Emily McCune. Madison Ashley Olson. Danielle Marie Peterson. Shannon Elizabeth Piber. Laura Marie Quiles. Kelsey Marie Ralphs. Jasmine Marie Rigby. Ashley Sue Rolfe. Janessa Catherine Rosebeck. Rachel Anna Steffen. Samantha Jo Tilley. Thank you. Carly Alexandra Ward.
Well-deserved applause, no doubt. In secondary education, the faculty and program coordinators now will summon the certification candidates to the stage. Professor Baldus, art education.
Stephen Matthew Andreessen. And that's one of our representatives of our new art education faculty. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Amy Schultz, who will announce our English candidates.
Before this starts, I have to preface this by saying this is a rock star group of English teachers. My life has been better. I'm a better person because I've worked with them for the past 2 years. The field of literacy and humanity in general is better off because they're going to be English teachers. So without further ado, here they are. Nicholas James Borchert. Kelsey Marie Chingren. William Carl Kapp. Andrew Joseph Kessel. Benjamin Michael Merrick. Angela Marie Miller. Ashley Ann Peevler. Macy Marlee Smith Levens. Alexandra Lee Walgren. That's English Ed.
Hi, I'm Pam Wesley with Foreign Language Education. Nicholas Andrew Mir in Spanish and English as a second language. And that is all, so congratulations. Now, Dr. Kyung-Mi Choi from Mathematics Education.
Kelsey Michelle Burton. Mark Allen Fleckenstein. Joseph Nicholas Perkins. Holly Ann Watson. These are the future of mathematics education. Professor Mary Cohen will introduce music education candidates.
By the way, these students not only completed a performance degree in music and licensure, but they did it without a music building. which is now open. Woohoo! First, Hannah Altmeyer. Next, Courtney Long. And Brooke Lunsford. We can congratulate our music educators. And next, we will welcome Ted Neal to introduce science education. Thank you.
Ooh, we got a library science first? We'll skip out of order? Okay, apparently with library science, we need... Library science? I was introduced, I just got up.
I thought you were too. It's us. One of the major threads that holds the fabric of a school together is the teacher librarian, Alyssa Marie Clope.
Ted Neal, my 4 science teachers are all going abroad to do their student teaching, so they're not there yet, but they're almost there. So, all right. Jacob Donald Byers. Jenna Joanne Glaza. Thank you. Gina Marie Johnson. Christina Elizabeth Zinkgraf. Social Studies Education, Dr. Jason Harshman.
Nicholas Benjamin Alquist. Robin Christina Chang. Chelsea Madeline Dill. Emily Ruth Ebeling. Jeffrey Charles Erickson. Trevor Arthur Hoth. Alexander William Osbaker. Amira Sheehan Nash. Isabel Rose Primer. Evan Richard Schenk. Congratulations to the Social Studies graduates.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now call to the podium University of Iowa President Bruce Harold and College of Education Dean Dan Clay.
Yeah, here it is. Okay. Go first.
It's the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you go first.
You go first,
then
then
I go.
he goes.
Sorry.
We really do know what we're doing. This is all a ruse. Would the candidates for certification to teach elementary and secondary education in the state of Iowa please rise? President Harold, these candidates, as an integral part of their university experience, have completed professional studies in the field of education. The State of Iowa Department of Education recognizes the professional goals of these men and these women and has empowered the University of Iowa to recommend these individuals for the teaching certification appropriate to their course of study.
The University of Iowa cooperates with the Iowa Department of Education in preparing men and women who will teach in elementary and secondary schools in our state, in our nation, and around the world. The university takes great pride in fulfilling its charter mission to educate outstanding teachers. To our students who have chosen to enter the most noble profession of teaching and who have met the requirements set by the College of Education and the state of Iowa, I recommend you on behalf of the University of Iowa to the Department of Education for certification as elementary and secondary teachers. My colleagues and I extend our heartiest congratulations. Well done. Turn it around. Turn it around.
That's the most fun part. Anytime you get a standing ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude, I'd like to thank University President Harold, Dean Clay, Associate Dean Languth, and especially Ms. Deb Retman for their participation in this afternoon's convocation. Additionally, I'd like to thank Associate Dean Amanda Tyne and all our departmental executive officers in the College of Education for their support in making this afternoon's event a success. Of course, without the planning of our student committee, this event would not be possible. It's really a lot of fun over 32 semesters of doing this, well, 30 out of 32, to work with the students who actually organize the program. And so I'd like to recognize and thank the committee chair, Trevor Johnson. Trevor, would you stand, please? And as you can see, Trevor has very good taste in neckwear. And would all the rest of the committee members please stand? I'd also like to recognize the people behind me, my colleagues, our teacher education faculty, for without their caring efforts and professional guidance, this afternoon would certainly not be possible, our faculty. There are several people I'd like to especially recognize without whom this event could not go forward. They are the people behind the scenes who make this event happen through their planning and organization of all the convocation's logistics via their roles in the Office of Student Services. They're the ones who make sure all the names are properly in order on the seats. They order the food. They make sure the arrangements for the stage are set properly. They do everything with regard to the nuts and bolts of this event. I can't thank them enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to join me in acknowledging the indispensable work of our staff at the Office of Student Services, especially Amy Bennett, Stacy Irvin, and Sue Klein. Finally, and most of all, I want to thank you for coming to honor our teacher certification candidates this afternoon. We know that they have made us proud, and we stand secure in the knowledge that the future of our children and therefore our democracy is in their hands, the hands of caring, intelligent, reflective, and innovative professional educators. Okay, now I did send you, no, Amy sent you one last email with a note from me, so I hope you practiced. You had one more homework assignment. It's on the back of the, okay, the marching band's gonna help out here, don't worry, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, if you turn to the back of your program and all please rise and join us in singing the University of Iowa Alma Mater. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just turn around and enjoy the reception and take pictures up here and do whatever you like in order to have a good time and drive safely because the weather is turning.